Broadcasting from the deserts of sunny Arizona, you're listening to I've Got a Plan, hosted by Tim Fiskus, a podcast focusing on the two-player experience of Arkham Horror the card game. Join me as I take two investigators through a campaign, stopping along the way to talk tactics, strategy, and whine about the whims of the Chaos Bag. Let's have fun! Welcome back to I've Got a Plan. We are heading into the return to the Path to Carcosa's Return to the Last King. This is the scenario that takes place at the cast party after the King in Yellow's performance at the Ward Theater in Arkham. And Lola and Mark have made it. They made it through Curtain Call without taking any trauma, and in fact earned themselves 6 XP. So it was a really successful run through that scenario. That one can go south really fast, especially given the combined 11 sanity between these two characters. So I think that potentially Mark and Lola through Path to Carcosa might be a little bit too much of a handicap. But we'll see how things go. I'm looking forward to playing this one out. Let's talk a little bit about just my quick impressions from the changes for Return to Curtain Call. They were minor. The only big changes that were made, there was an enemy added into the encounter deck that I never drew. It was an enemy that spawns in the balcony, and then essentially she just engages you and clogs up your hand and makes it harder to maintain a large hand size because you take horror whenever you're forced to discard because of hand size. We never saw her, so I'm looking forward to trying that one again and getting her into play. We had 2 new locations, one backstage location and one lobby location, and both of them made it into play. Is that right? Yes, they both made it into play. The theater lounge and the backstage one was the prop room. That was the 7 Shroud location. Those were cool. I like a little bit of variety there. Nothing wrong with that. And then the new adjustment to the boss enemy, the Royal Emissary, was never a factor because that kicks in when he comes back from the victory display, and he never did that. We were able to kill him and then get out. So overall, didn't really see a whole lot of changes to that scenario. The biggest changes, honestly, were the new encounter sets in the encounter deck, and all of those were very interesting. The new hidden cards are quite difficult, and some of the new tests that came up were tricky. Spires of Carcosa is always tough, and we got that one twice. So heading into the Last King, and it looks like the changes to this one are also going to be maybe show up, maybe not. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I will apologize. I use images from Arkham DB to kind of show you guys the new stuff as they come up, a little bit of a close-up on the cards. But the Return to Path to Carcosa is not yet up on Arkham DB. So I will not be able to include those card images because I'm not going to go through the business of scanning my personal cards. They don't have the watermark from Fantasy Flight, and I want to respect their copyright infringement laws. Certainly don't want to put untrademarked images out on the internet. So I'll just be talking about the new cards. Maybe I'll try to hold them up a little closer to the camera for you all to see as we go, if we even encounter very many of them. But the first one that we're going to encounter is definitely going to happen because there is a new version of Diana Divine. And we'll get to her as soon as we get through this first agenda, I think. We have a new Agenda 1A in this scenario. But before we dive into the scenario, let's talk a little bit about what I managed to spend my 6 XP on. This is always a challenge when you're talking about a character like Lola, who has every single class available to her, and she can take up to 3 XP cards in every class, and so that really opens it up for her. And then Mark was a little simpler as far as to pick what I wanted to do with him. In fact, what I did was, as I mentioned, I am using the decks. They're strongly based on 2 of the decks for Mark and Lola on Arkham DB. The Mark deck by a user named Toast Sushi has some recommended upgrade paths, and I just went ahead and took some of his suggestions for the recommended upgrade path. And then the Matastrophes Lola Hayes suggestions don't include upgrades to the deck specifically, other than just mentioning a few cards which are really good to have if you are playing Lola. Things like the Blade, that level 5 relic blade that's neutral. Time Worn Brand is the name of that card. And that's a good upgrade for Lola, but I did not select that one right now. That's a 5 XP buy-in, and I wanted to try something something I hadn't tried yet, a newer card that's been released. So I'll start with Lola. I'll tell you what I upgraded with her because it's pretty easy. Her deck did not change at all. I spent 6 XP on 2 copies of Studious, which was released in one of the later packs. I think the final pack, maybe the penultimate pack of the Circle Undone. Before the Black Throne, or the one before that, In the Clutches of Chaos. It was in one of those 2 sets, and it is a 3 XP card shown here on the screen. It's permanent, and I begin each game with an additional card in my hand. So Lola's going to start the game with 7 cards in her hand for the rest of this campaign. And I wanted to get that into play as early as possible to take full advantage of it. And I think with Lola having such a large deck size and needing to kind of lay out a game plan with how she's going to spend her role swaps early in the game, a strong start for her, low health and sanity, it's really important for Lola. So I went ahead and took 2 copies of Studious, and those are permanents, so they don't go in the deck. Everything else that was in her deck remains there. I also considered taking an Adaptable. I like that card with Lola a lot because I like Adaptable. It's just a great card, and I already know this campaign, so I will probably take that after this scenario. And I'm going to go ahead and start with 5 resources with Lola. And then Mark's changes were to do a little bit of messing around with his weapons. I added a copy of Reliable because I wanted to be able to get one more boost out of whatever primary weapon I'm using. I'm thinking maybe a Colt, 32 Colt would be a good option for that. I also added in a level 2 Blackjack, which I'm going to show here on the screen. I think this is a really good card. The original level 0 Blackjack is not a good card. But in 2-player, Lola can engage an enemy, and Mark can come up and smack him over the head very efficiently with a +2 to the fight and the extra damage that you want out of a weapon. So I went for a level 2 Blackjack, and then that went in place of a Prepared for the Worst. And then the final addition to that deck was a level 3 Enchanted Blade. This is the Guardian version of Enchanted Blade. Lola has the 2 other Enchanted Blades that are the multicolor, the dual class Enchanted Blades, and I really wanted to put them in both of their decks, but I only have 2 copies. So I went ahead and upgraded Mark to a level 3 of the Guardian Enchanted Blade, and that went in place of a Survival Knife. So I've got that up and running. Oh, you know what? I kept the Prepared for the Worst, and I got rid of a Guard Dog is what I did. The Guard Dog went out. Try to keep the cost curve a little bit lower because Mark has a lot of need for resources, and I only have the 2 copies of Emergency Cash, and that's pretty much it for my generation of resources in this deck. So that's what we're going to be looking at going into The Last King. I'm going to be hoping that Lola will be able to grab one of her fine clothes. This scenario can become much easier to get your way through the parleying with the various partygoers if you can get a fine clothes in play as soon as possible. So that's Lola's going to be hoping for that. Maybe I thought with a 7-card starting hand, I got a better shot. And then Mark's going to grab 5 resources to start things off here. And let's lay out the situation. We are both starting in the foyer. The foyer is a 2-shroud location with 2 clues, and it has a resign ability on it. Otherwise, it's unremarkable. It is connected by a little fan 3 different ways up into the courtyard, the living room, and the ballroom. And then all of the rooms in the mansion are connected to the courtyard as a central hub location. And then, oh, I missed a connection here. And then the side rooms are connected to each other as well. So it's sort of like a star sort of like a menorah, actually. It's a bit like what it looks like. And that's what we're going to be after here. So we've got Jordan Perry up in the dining room. We've got Ishimaru Haruko in the gallery. Close to us, we have Sebastian Moreau in the ballroom, Constance Dumaine in the courtyard, and Ashley Clark in the living room. So that's what we're looking at up front. No changes to the characters that we're going to be parlaying with from in the Return to the Last King scenario. And we're starting at Agenda 1A, a new Agenda 1A, better never than late. As you pull up to the manor, you notice that something is wrong. A trail of blood leads up the porch steps, and the front door is smashed. Muted music comes from within the house, its warped and discordant notes painful to your ears. Has the madness of the King in Yellow already made its way here? Act 1A, Discovering the Truth. And this is the only act. The act deck is one card, just like it always has been for this scenario. This isn't a party, it's a madhouse. But for some reason, the guests are too deluded to notice. Very few of them are sane, and many are themselves horrors to your eye. Perhaps you can talk to them to learn more about the King in Yellow. Forced, when an investigator is eliminated by defeat or resignation, place each of that investigator's clues on this act. Our whole goal here is to get clues. Find as many clues as you can, and then get the hell out of here. So that is the deal. I am going to try everything I can do to not get trauma. That's my goal in this scenario. Try to grab a few XP and not get trauma, and maybe even interrogate a couple or more of the guests. So let's draw some starting hands and see what we get. Mark's starting 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're looking at a steadfast. Okay, well that's good right up front in the scenario because I can use that as a good parlay booster. Let me handle this. Another let me handle this. An emergency cash, nice, and a 45 automatic. Okay, well the cash and the gun are definitely gonna be kept. Cash and guns, I like that game. And then steadfast we'll keep also for sure. Let's see, let me handle this. It might be nice to let Lola go about the business of parlaying the tests if she gets a fine close, and then Mark can keep stuff off of her. I like that plan. I am going to keep one of the let me handle this is, and then I'm going to replace the other one with another steadfast. All right, well, that is okay. Those will be, make a couple early parlays almost automatic. So maybe maybe Lola and Mark can work together to be able to parlay that. All right. Apologies for the screaming child in the background. That's how things roll around here at this house. I happen to be off today, and so I'm recording midday rather than after the kids go to bed. And you might have some serenading of children in the background. Okay, and Lola's starting hand of now 7 cards. Very exciting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, and we are looking at, excellent, a fine close right off the bat. Cool. Fine close, drawing thin, art student, look what I found. Okay. Silver Twilight Acolyte, that'll get replaced. Another drawing thin, and a crisis of identity. Those two get replaced. Let me draw 2 replacements. Another art student, and a take the initiative. Ooh, that take the initiative is certainly nice. Well, I have a pretty nice layout here. What I'm thinking here is maybe I start in Guardian and head up and try to parlay with Sebastian Moreau, because that'd be a pretty easy test with Take the Initiative. Be 5 to 3. And then start saving up money in the ballroom to be able to get the 10 necessary to get Jordan Perry. I need 10 resources for that, and the drawing thins might be able to provide that kind of money. Mark's not going to have that kind of money. Now, Ishimaru requires you to have, isn't it 6 or more cards in hand? So, and that's a willpower 2 parlay. I could head up there with Mark and store up some cards and get her. I want to make sure before this agenda flips that I get at least one of them investigated. I'm going to keep, this is a tough one. I'm not going to keep the art students. They aren't really very helpful in this scenario. I'm going to keep one of them as a horror soak. I'm definitely keeping the fine clothes, obviously. I'm going to keep both drawing thins because I can use that to boost my resources in a burst. I'll keep the Look What I Found and the Take the Initiative for committing. I'm not going to use Look What I Found for clues, although I could, I guess, here in the foyer, grab a couple clues. And I can leave that to Mark also. And then I'll toss the other art student back. And I will replace the other art student with a fingerprint kit. Okay, that's not necessary in this scenario. We're mostly getting our clues off of the characters, not the locations. So I'll likely commit that. There's my 7 cards. Art student, fine clothes, 2 drawing thin, a Look What I Found, a Take the Initiative, and a fingerprint kit. All right, and then let's go ahead and shuffle the rest of these back in. Okay, and just so that we're clear on what I want to do here, I'm going to start in Guardian. For those of you that didn't watch my first video, I'll show you this fancy new little thing I got here. This is a little strip I got from the Deserted Desert Etsy shop. They made me a little tin strip with a little space background and little faction markers. This one's neutral and this is used. And I use that for Lola to mark what faction I'm in or what class I'm in, and to also mark whether or not I've used her ability for the turn. Super handy. Low profile just stays right here above her little marker here. So I'm going to start in Guardian, and I've got my resources, and I think we're ready to go. So because I have to take the initiative, I'm going to go first with Lola, and I'm going to, it's interesting, because if I play the fine clothes and move, I'm giving up all the nice stuff on take the initiative. I have found that if you leave the clues in the foyer till you're on your way out to resign, that's a better plan, because getting these people investigated before they turn into monsters is a big deal. And in fact, I might devote some of Mark's time to that as well. So let's go ahead and start in Guardian instead. Yeah, start in Guardian. I'm going to play the fine clothes as my first action for sure. Cost me 1. Lets me parlay for cheaper. And then I'm going to go up and hit Sebastian Moreau, because for number 1, he's a tough monster. Not that that stops him from being a monster, but I want to grab his clues in the ballroom. So let's move into the ballroom. And the ballroom reads, 4 shroud location with 0 clues. After you perform a parlay action in the ballroom, gain 2 resources, group limit once per phase. So I will probably leave that reaction for Mark for the, well, although Mark has an emergency cash and Lola might go up and do Jordan Perry. Mark could also wait to play his gun. Yeah, that's even better plan. Yeah, I'm gonna wait on Mark. I'll give Mark the resources because I've got the drawing thins. And then I'll cut across with Lola up to Ishimaru and take care of her when I have all these cards in my hand. Okay, so I'm in the ballroom now with Sebastian Moreau. And then I'll spend my 3rd action to parlay with him. And this is a test willpower 3. Because it is a parlay test and I have fine clothes on, it is now a willpower 1 test. So let's go ahead and do this. Before I start drawing out of the Chaos Bag, let's talk about the Chaos Bag. The last king on standard difficulty. Skulls force you to reveal another token, and then if you fail, place a doom on a lunatic enemy in play. Now, we don't have any lunatic enemies in play right now. The cultist, of which we have one, is -2 if you fail, put a clue on your location. And then the tablet, which we do have one of also, is -4 if you fail, take a horror. So that thing's really bad. We don't want that if we can avoid it, which we obviously can't. Let's go ahead and parlay here. So I'm going to parlay at 3 to 1. See what the bag will dish me out right off the bat. We have a skull. Okay, so reveal another token. And the second token is another skull. Reveal another token. Luckily, the skull effect, if I fail, is not, and we don't have any lunatic enemies right now. And then the third token I draw is a 0. Okay, so much ado about nothing there, and I get one of the clues off of Sebastian Moreau. So 2 clues left on him, and 1 for Lola. I will not take the response from the ballroom. Yep, I will not. So Mark is going to move straight up into the ballroom with Lola. Let me keep these tokens so that you can see them. Mark's moving up with Lola, and he's going to parlay twice. That's the plan. So parlay number 1. Let's see. I'm at 3 to 3. My options are to use the Steadfast, but I think I'm going to use the Steadfasts to be able to maybe prevent some horror off of the encounter deck. So let's go ahead and use a Sophie or 2. I'll use a Sophie to test 5 to 3. All right, so 5 to 3, and we are drawing out of the bag a +1. Okay, so Mark grabs a clue, and I will go ahead and trigger after the successful parlay, gain 2 resources. So that'll put Mark up to 7 resources. And I draw a card off of the Sophie. I forgot that. The level 2 blackjack. Okay, very nice. If we stick together, I might be able to make that work. And then I will go again, and I will parlay again. This time I will toss a Steadfast. I have remaining health 13, so I'm at +3 on this, so 6 to 3 on this parlay. And I get a 0. All right, so that is another clue off of Sebastian Moreau. Now, this says, forced when the last clue is removed from Sebastian Moreau, flip this card over and resolve its text. The first show. You can tell Sebastian is a dramatic man from the way he speaks about tonight's production. Better than last year. Indeed, the best I've ever seen. You ask him whether this was the first performance of The King in Yellow he'd helped produce, and he shakes his head in vigorous disagreement. No, of course not. We've done many shows before. Paris, Florence, New York. Why, this isn't even the first time the play has been performed in Arkham. Surprised you question him further. Oh, well, all right. If you must know, I had nothing to do with the previous show in Arkham. It was several decades ago, before Ward Theatre was even built. In fact, part of Mr. Engram's goal tonight was to bring the story of The King in Yellow to a wider audience. Remember that you interviewed Sebastian. Flip this card back over to its bystander side. All right, so Sebastian has been interviewed. Well, I'm just going to put a little resource token on him to mark that I did that. That'll help me remember. I don't have to go into my log right now. And that is the investigation phase. We have no enemies since we just started the game, and we got 1 interview already done, so that's terrific. Let's go ahead and reset, and Mark is going to draw another Let Me Handle This. All right, well, I guess we were just going to have 2 of those no matter what we did. And then Lola will reset and draw an Enchanted Blade. Okay, could be handy. And take a resource. All right, Lola's got 5 resources. I forgot to give Mark 1. he's now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 resources. Okay, so he's looking actually pretty good to be able to go up there with and parley with Jordan Perry, given that he has so many resources. Yeah, for sure. Can't parley with Jordan Perry unless you have 10 resources, so that's a thing. Okay, first Mythos phase. 1 Doom on the agenda. And my encounter cards are, for Mark, Marked by the Sign, or Mark by the Sign, if you will. Okay, test Willpower 2. If you fail, take 2 Horror. If the Man in the Pallid Mask is in play, he is not. Okay, so test Willpower 2, and if you fail, take 2 Horror. Well, Mark only has 5 Sanity, so we do not want to take 2 Horror. And I will go ahead and Steadfast this one. This is why I kept it. So I'm at 6-2 on this. And I got a tablet, and that is a -4. Good thing I committed. I had exactly enough to pass. Whew. Okay, don't want to take 2 Horror. Until Mark has some way of healing Horror, which right now in my deck I think is only the Hallowed Mirror. And then, of course, some Soak. Until I have a way of doing that. Oh, I also have the Smoking Pipes. Anyway, I don't have any of those things right now, so I definitely don't want to start taking Horror. And then Lola's encounter card is Fine Dining. Okay, Peril. You must either place one of your clues on any bystander asset in play, or take a Horror and a damage. So my thought here is I could just place another one on Sebastian because I can get that back fairly easily, and I'm standing right here. But I also want to keep my tempo on interviewing here because the longer you stick around in this building, the worse shit gets. Horror and a damage, huh? Lola's just not really... I'll just put my clue back. I'll put a clue back on Sebastian. Yeah, okay, that's that. Investigation phase. All right, so let's map out a plan here. I would like to get Mark his 10 resources and go up and start dealing with Jordan Perry. Because that's about as easy of a test as he's going to get. Ishimaru is actually pretty easy for him too, but I'm slightly short of cards for him. You have to have 6 or more in your hand? I've got 5. I could go up and get started on her. It's a pretty easy test. And let's go up and do Jordan Perry. I'm going to spend an action and play the emergency cash to get 3 resources. So I've got 3, let me make some change, 6, 11 resources right now. All right, so Mark's got 11 resources, and then I'll spend my second action to go up into the dining room. The dining room is a 2-shroud location with 0 clues. Action, heal a horror, then reveal a random token from the chaos bag. If you get a skull or a tentacle, then you take a horror and put a doom on the dining room. Okay, so that's about a 25% chance of a skull or a tentacle. I think it's a little less than that with the 2 new in the bag. It's probably more like a 20% chance. So still, that's not bad. For horror healing, especially with my team, that's an action I could see us taking. But for right now, let's deal with Jordan Perry. I have 1 action remaining, so let's go ahead and use that action to parlay with him. And this is an intellect 2 parlay, and I have 2 intellect. So let's go ahead and Sophie this. I'll take a damage, draw a card. Ooh, shell shock. Okay, for every 2 damage on you, take a horror. Well, this is a good time for that. So I take a horror. Just fine to get that out of the way early. And I'm at 4 to 2. And the chaos bag dishes me up a -1. All right. So that's one more clue. Jordan Perry is cleared off down to 2. And Mark takes another clue, putting him at 3. Okay, that was Mark's 3 actions. Lola, I'm just gonna go ahead and keep trucking with what I got going on here. I will spend 1 action to parlay Sebastian Moreau, and I'll do this at 3 to 1. Got a skull, which is draw another one. And 3 to 1 draws me another skull. Gracious. And then we draw a -1. All right, cool. So the skulls don't come into play. So that's gonna grab that token off of Sebastian Moreau. Grab that clue back that I took. Okay, interestingly, then I can trigger the Dial of the Ballroom again, because that's once per phase. Okay, so I'll go ahead and take two resources. So it puts me at 4, 5, 6, 7 resources, which is shy of being able to deal with Jordan Perry. So maybe what I should do is go ahead and get set up to go do Ishimaru. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna walk across the building. Ooh, if I cut through the courtyard, I risk an enemy. Yes, I do. When you step into the courtyard, there's the possibility you flip over the top card of the encounter deck, and if it's an enemy, you have to draw it. I'll take that risk. So I will cut into the courtyard for my next action. The courtyard is a 5 shroud location with 0 clues. Discard the top card of the encounter deck. If it's an enemy, draw it after you enter the courtyard. So I've entered the courtyard, discard the top card of the encounter deck. It is not an enemy. All right. And then I will move again up into the gallery. Ooh, or will I? Oh, that's interesting. So the gallery has, and when you end your turn here, you have to deal with a test. Yeah, it's fine. I'll risk it. I'll move into the gallery. The gallery reads, 1 shroud location with 0 clues. After you end your turn at the gallery, test willpower 2. If you fail, place 1 of your clues on the gallery. So that's obviously not great, but maybe I can pass that test. If not, I might be able to gather those clues up with with just a general old maybe I could play an art student and grab that back. That could work. So that's my 3rd action, and then I've ended my turn there, so let's test willpower 2. I will not commit anything. So 3 to 2. And I pull a skull, and it's gonna get tedious. And I pull a -3. Okay, so that's a fail. And I would place a doom on a lunatic enemy in play, but right now there aren't any. So I just have to take the clue that I have and put it on the gallery. Not on Ishimaru, but on the gallery. Okay. So I'll pick that up later. And hopefully next turn I can just go snap, snap, snap and investigate Ishimaru and be done with it. That's the plan. So that's the end of the investigation phase. Enemy phase, nothing happens, and then we reset. Mark resets and draws A smoking pipe. Okay, there's my horror healing. And I'll take a resource. That puts me at 12 resources. And then Lola resets, draws a card. Unexpected Courage, okay, that's great. And then take a resource. I haven't needed to change out of Survivor because I don't have anything to play or do. So take a resource. And let's see what Lola's got right now. She's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 resources. Okay. So we're certainly flush with cash to be able to play some stuff later, and that's going to be later is going to be soon. So Mythos phase. Doom on the agenda. And we start drawing some cards. Mark draws. Another marked by the sign. Okay. So this is willpower 2. If you fail, take 2 horror. Let's see, I'm up 3-2. Do I have anything I want to commit to this? Ugly. I'll just take it. 3-2. Why does Mark always get the horror stuff? And the Chaos Bag hits us up with a -2. Yeah, it's a fail. So I take 2 horror. So that puts Mark at 3 out of 5 horror. That's a problem. That's a problem. That's like a lot of problem. But maybe what I could do is use the dining room to heal some of that up. I've also got the smoking pipe, but then I don't have any healing at all. So it might be time to draw some cards here pretty soon. And then Lola will take her encounter card, which is Delusory Evils, Peril Hidden. Okay, you must either secretly add Delusory... Oh, this is the replacement for Ancient Evil. You must secretly add Delusory Evils to your hand or place a Doom on the current agenda and discard it. This may cause the current agenda to advance. Okay. When you have succeeded a skill test by 3 or more, you automatically fail instead and discard it from your hand. See, I would be parlaying at 3-0 with Ishimaru. So if I let the agenda advance, we're going to be, I think somebody flips. And so I have a 40% chance of flipping somebody I'm with. So I'm going to say no to that. I'm going to put it in my hand. Let's see, it goes into my hand. Yes. When you would succeed by 3 or more, you automatically fail instead. And then discard it from your hand. All right, now that puts my hand size at 9 right now. So I'm going to have to be conscious of that. And that's the end of the Mythos phase. So here's what I would really like to ideally have happen. I would like Mark to be able to clear off Jordan Perry, and I would like Lola to clear off Ishimaru. Now I know that's a pipe dream, but we could give it a shot. So let's do it. Let's start with Lola. All right, testing Ishimaru. This is a 3-0 test. So, because of the parlay, I need to have at least 6 or more cards in my hand. I have a full complement of 9 cards in my hand right now. So here we go. 3-0, and the Chaos Bag gives me a -2, so that's successful. And I grab a clue off of Ishimaru. Okay, and then action number 2, same thing, 3-0. And the Chaos Bag gives me a 0. Okay, so that triggers the Delusory Evils, so that's an auto fail on that check. The Delusory Evils is discarded, so I don't get the clue. And then I will try again at 3-0. This one is anything but a tentacle. And I get a +1. Okay, so I get that clue. So I got 2 out of the 3. And that was all 3 of my actions. Now I need to test, at the end of my turn, I need to test willpower 2. And if I fail, put one of my clues on the gallery. That I don't want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and commit my unexpected courage to that and go 5 to 2. And the chaos bag gives me a 0. Okay. Okay. So that's the unexpected courage used up. And I'm back down to 7 cards in hand, so I'm all right with that. Couldn't quite get all of them off of Ishimaru, but I didn't lose the one at the end of the turn, so I suppose that's good. All right, then now Mark. Mark. Let's see. Oh, hey, Mark. All right, let's try to grab these 2 clues off of Jordan Perry. Test number 1, I'm going to use a Sophie and go to 3 damage. Push early, and I'm going to go 4 to 2 on this check. I don't have anything to commit. Oh, I draw a card. Ooh, I get the home front. Okay, that's nice. That'll be good for once somebody flips. And then 4 to 2 gives us out of the bag a -1. Great. So I get one of those clues. Okay, and then I will try again. I will take another damage. Or maybe, yeah, I will take another damage. Puts me at 4 damage. I'm kind of Sophied out here until I get a little bit of healing. I'll hope for the best here. I'm gonna have to start just doing some killing stuff here shortly anyway. And 4 to 2 gives me, draw a skull. Gotta take another token. Come on. Whew. 0. All right. That's the last clue off of Jordan Perry. Now I can start spending my money. Skull goes back in the bag. So that was 2 actions by Mark. And then I need some healing. But first I'm gonna go ahead and get a gun in play because I need to do that. So I'm gonna play the 45 automatic for my 3rd action. With my horror in such bad shape, I cannot be able to afford an attack of opportunity. So 4 resources, and I get a 45 with 4 ammo on it for my 3rd action. Okay, that's the investigation phase. That's not bad. You know, in the first 3 rounds, we were able to collect 4, 5, 6, 7 clues. That's pretty good. We'll see. That luck might not hold out. Enemy phase, nothing happens yet. Soon it will. Mark will draw a 32 Colt. Okay. And take a resource, putting him at 9. And Lola will draw a Crisis of Identity. Okay, well, good time to get that out of the way. I don't have any cards of my current role. And then I'm going to have to switch my role to something else, which will be prepared for the worst, so I'm having to switch to Guardian. Okay. And I take a resource, putting me at 9. All right. Next round, Doom on the agenda. That is 3 of 3, and now we get to see what this new Diana Divine is all about, I think. We'll see. Agenda 1B. Ah, if it isn't our final guest, the doorman announces. Miss Divine, your presence here has been long awaited. The woman wears a devilish dress and a similar grin. You swear you've seen the symbol on her amulet before. Well, now the real party can begin, she declares, then heads off to mingle with the other partygoers. Find the bystander asset with the fewest clues on it. among bystander assets with at least one clue. Ah, okay, that's a new, what's the word I'm looking for? Qualification on that. So Jordan Perry and Sebastian Moreau are out. Oh, I forgot to interview Jordan Perry. Before we go on, let's go ahead and interview Jordan Perry. We cleared the last clue off of him. Mr. Perry is indifferent to your questions at first, but he grows more talkative as you express interest in his many investments. You learn that he has financed several productions of The King in Yellow in the past, not just tonight's performance.
It was the director, Mr. Ingram, who convinced me to invest, he explains. The first time I met him was in Paris at a cafe at Montparnasse. What was the name?
He ruminates for some time, trying to remember.
Anyway, he convinced me that not every investment is about capital gain. One might consider me a fool to believe him, but I don't regret my decision. I've been financing his productions ever since.
He smiles and pauses for some time, lost in memory.
Lagny-Perdu. That was the place. Yes, oh, what a night.
Remember that you interviewed Jordan. Okay, so we've interviewed Jordan and Sebastian Moreau. And the bystander asset with the fewest clues is going to be Ishimaru. And I spawn the set-aside Diana Divine asset at that asset's location. Okay, so Diana Divine is not an enemy anymore. She's now an asset. And she has the text, or has the ability, costless asset type cultist. All right, so let me turn this so that you can see the card. Each investigator at Diana Divine's location cannot discover or take control of clues. Oh, well, that sucks. Okay. At the beginning of the enemy phase, find the bystander asset with the fewest clues on it among bystander assets with at least one clue. Move her to that asset's location if able. Okay, so we're going to, let's see, among bystanders with at least one clue. So interestingly, I'm not going to be able to clear that one off of Ishimaru until somebody else gets down to one clue. Let me think about this. Beginning of the enemy phase, find the bystander asset with the fewest clues on it. So until somebody else gets down to one, I will move her to them. And that would allow me to grab the clues here. Or I could just move on to them. So anyway, Diana Divine is hanging out up here in the gallery and keeping me from doing anything there. Shuffle Shocking Display into the encounter deck along with the encounter discard pile. Shocking Display is a new card, and I'm not going to read what it says until we draw it. That's fun. I haven't read it either. So let's shuffle that in. Interestingly, nobody flips. I thought somebody flipped when this took place. Let me look at that on the first, in the original Last King. I thought somebody flipped. No, they didn't. Okay. So it just changes Diana to be a little bit more of a pain in the butt, because you could put her on an asset with 0 clues on it, and that would just kind of keep her from bothering you. So now she isn't kept from bothering you. And what's bad about this is that I cannot discover or take control of any clues here. So even the one that is on the location, I'm stuck. So we're going to have to try to get some clues off of somebody else. All right, encounter deck is all shuffled up. And that was it for Agenda 1B. Let me read Agenda 2A. The terrifying truth. More and more, this place continues to fall into madness, transforming before your very eyes. When this agenda would advance by reaching its doom threshold, instead remove all doom in play and randomly resolve one of the sickening reality cards under the scenario reference card. If there are no cards underneath the scenario reference card, advance to Agenda 2B instead. Okay, well that would be... I bet that doesn't happen very often. So let's see. We are now going to be drawing some encounter cards. Mark's encounter card is Bleeding Walls. Test willpower X, where X is the shroud value of your location. All right, that's 2 for me. If you fail, lose an action and take a horror. All right, well, not much I can do about that. Let's see, I'm testing 3 to 2. And if I fail, lose an action and take a horror. Boy, that's terrible because for lots of reasons. Let's see, I could spend some time here healing horror. I'll just test it. I'll test it. There's no monsters around, so 3 to 2. Oh, hey, I got a -1. All right, got lucky there. Okay, and then Lola's card is a maggot swarm. Oh, gross! Look at that, grody. All right, so this is a new enemy. This is a 3 fight, 3 evade, 2 health enemy. I'll show you what it looks like. Trigger warning for people who hate maggots. Yuck. All right. Its location gets +2 shroud, and when it is at a location with no clues, it gains hunter. So right now we are at a location with no clues. So this thing will hunt around. But I am not going to put that with Lola. I'm going to go ahead and put that with Mark. So I'm going to go ahead and play Let Me Handle This and slide that over to Mark, so Lola can continue going about her business. All right, and investigation phase. Okay, I'm back from a little strategy break. I took a pause here to kind of think about what I wanted to do. But through the magic of video editing, you didn't have to wait through me going, what am I gonna do? So I'm gonna go first with Lola, and my plan here is I'm gonna head into the courtyard, and if I draw an enemy, I'm gonna grab it with Mark with Let Me Handle This, and if I don't, I'll just continue on with my day. So Mark's got the maggot swarm. He's gonna be able to handle that really easily, and then hopefully heal a little horror. So let's go ahead with Lola first. So her first action, let's see, I'm in Guardian right now. I will stay in Guardian, that's fine. Yeah, I'll stay in Guardian. So I'm gonna move into the courtyard. So I discard the top card of the encounter deck, and it is an enemy. So Mark is going to play Let Me Handle This. After an investigator draws a non-peril encounter card, but before resolving the card's effects, you are considered to have drawn that card. Okay, so Mark gets the young psychopath. Now, after the young psychopath engages you, you must either take a horror, pass, or the young psychopath gets +3 fight till the end of the investigation phase. Okay, so this guy's gonna have +3 fight. I'll mark that. +3 fight I can handle, potentially. Yep, so I can do a little shoot sting. Not bad at all. And I can also heal a little bit with home front. Not the ideal way to do that, but it'll work. So anyway, Lola is now in the courtyard with Constance Dumaine for her first action. Then her second action, I will go ahead and parlay with Constance. This is going to be a intellect 3 check, but -2 for the fine clothes, so an intellect 1 check. So I'm at 3 to 1 here, and I will commit a take the initiative because I am in Guardian. So there are, let's see, how many actions have been completed by investigators? Just 1. So this takes me up to 5 to 1 on this check. And 5 to 1 says skull. Draw another token. Another skull. Lola has a talent for this. Lola and Jim should probably play together. All right, and then third token is a -2. Okay, that's successful. So I grab that one of the clues off of this location. Or not off the location, off of Constance. Okay, that gives Lola 3 clues now. And then I'm going to switch roles. I haven't been doing that much, but I'm going to switch into Seeker. Yeah, switch into Seeker. And then that marks that as switched. And I'll spend my third action to parlay again, and I'll commit a fingerprint kit to that test. So that's going to be a 4-1. And I draw a cultist. What is that? Okay, -2. If you fail, place a clue on your location. Okay, I did not fail. So I get the clue. Okay, and that fingerprint kit has been committed. Okay, that's good. So now I could move Diane Divine into the courtyard now at the beginning of the enemy phase, because that would, they're tied. Ishimaru and Constance are tied, which would allow me to then go back and grab Ishimaru's clue. I think that's a good plan, because there's also a clue on that location I'd like to get. Yeah, I think I like that plan. I don't know, we'll see. Let's see how things go with Mark. Okay, number 1. Action number 1 with Mark. Let's go ahead and shoot the maggot swarm with a 45 automatic. So this is a 6-3. I won't commit anything to this. 6-3 is fine. And out of the bag pops, ooh, an Elder Sign. That is +4, so plenty to kill the maggot swarm. So that is it for the maggot swarm. An Elder Sign would be handy against this young psychopath, because this thing's got 5 fight. So I'm at 6-5 on this one, and I will go ahead and commit my home front. So I'm at 10-5 with a bullet from the 45. Oh, wow, good timing. I drew a tablet, which is -4, and if I fail, take a horror, but I was at 10-5, so I did not fail. So I'm going to first apply the successful home front effect, which moves a damage from me to the psychopath, and then I'll deal the 2 damage from the gun for a total of 3 damage, which kills this young psychopath. Okay. I like to use the home front on enemies with 3 health, but right now I need to not take attacks of opportunity or horror. And then for my third action, I'm going to go ahead and use the ability in the dining room to try to heal a horror. Well, I will heal a horror. Well, I will. Yeah, I will heal one and maybe get it back depending on what I draw. So I will spend the action and I will heal a horror. So that takes me to 2 horror out of 5. And then I draw a token out of the bag. If I get a skull or a tentacle, then I got to put that horror right back on me. And we draw out of the bag a -1. Okay, so thank you, dining room. All in all, a pretty successful investigation phase. Kind of got what I wanted out of all that. All right. Enemies move. I have avoided any more enemies. Start of the enemy phase. I can move Diane Divine over to where Constance Domain is, and I will. So I'm going to move Diane over here, which frees me up to go back and parley with Ishimaru, who's a bit of an easier parley for me. Also, for those of you who have played through the Path to Carcosa, Ishimaru as an enemy is terrible. Just frankly terrible. As she shows up, I think, in the Pallid Mask, and boy, oh boy, she's tough. So Sebastian's tough always, but Ishimaru's super tough. And that's going to be it for the enemy phase. Let's go ahead and reset. Mark will draw a Venturer. Oh, nice for the soak. Okay, great. I've got the cash for him too. All right, and then I'll take a resource, which puts me at 10 resources. And then Lola will reset, and she will draw my other Crisis of Identity. Okay, good. So this hits Seeker, which obviously is nothing. Lola hasn't played any permanents other than the Fine Clothes yet. So that's both of my Crises of Identity, and now I don't have to worry about it anymore. And I am going to flip the top card and have to switch to Survivor. I got Survival Instinct, so that goes into the discard pile, and I switch to Survivor. Now, in case you're wondering whether that hits Studious, it does not, because they are permanent and they cannot be ditched. It wouldn't matter anyway because they only hit at the beginning of the scenario. But anyway. And then Lola gains a resource, which will put her at 10 also. So I've got both of my investigators at 10 resources. Not much to spend them on right now, so. All right. Mythos phase. Dun, dun, dun. Doom on the agenda. And we draw. Mark's encounter card is Dance of the Yellow King. Okay, if there are no lunatic enemies in play, and there are not, it gains Surge. All right. Surges into, a party guest. This is new. Find the bystander asset with the most clues on it and put party guest into play at that asset's location. Okay, this is an asset itself. Investigators cannot parlay with bystander assets at the party guest location, and you can spend 2 resources to kick them out. Move over this way, please, to parlay and move them to a connecting location. You say, you know what? Why don't you go check out that other room over there? I love the theme on it. And it also, thank you very much, Fantasy Flight, for this. No surge on this. So appreciate that very much. So let me show you this card so you can see it. Nice, pretty artwork on that. Really neat. So the asset with the bystander with the most clues is Ashley Clark. So she's standing around listening to Ashley sing. And we'll have to pay her to leave. So Ashley must be singing fairly well. Or she's nuts. Also an option. And that is, let's see, that was Mark's encounter card. Let's see, I got the Dance of the Yellow King surged into that. Okay, and then Lola's encounter card is Delusory Evils. Okay, so this is the Ancient Evils, and I'm not messing with this. I'm gonna go ahead and put a Doom on my current agenda. It doesn't make it advance, but we're doing okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the Doom on the agenda and discard it. Ancient Evils, what are you gonna do? I like that one though. That one's good because that if you succeed by 3 or more seems like, oh, that's not too bad. But with parlaying at 0, it's actually pretty easy to succeed at 3 or more. It's an interesting little twist. Okay, so we move on to the investigation phase. All right, so what I would like to do is go get Ishimaru's clue and the gallery's clue and get out of there, but I'm not going to be able to do both. Maybe what I do is go in and get the gallery's clue and move out, just so I don't, if I stay in the gallery, I have to deal with that potentially put your clue back on the gallery thing, which is just garbage. And I'm not happy with that at all. So, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and switch into Seeker. I'm gonna go first with Lola. I'm gonna switch to Seeker. Let me think about that. I was in Survivor. Yeah, I don't want to waste any actions. I'm gonna switch to Seeker. I'm going to move into the gallery. I'm going to parlay with Ishimaru. And this is a willpower 0 test. So I'm at 3 to 0. And the chaos bag says anything but a tentacle would be just fine. I get a cultist. Okay, that's a pass. And I have grabbed the last clue off of Ishimaru. So let's interview her. Oh, shoot. Shoot, hold on. Cheating is happening. I do not have 6 or more cards in my hand. I have only 5 cards in hand, so I cannot parlay with her. Let me back that up and rethink that. Right, because I was going to draw my 6th card, but it ended up being my weakness. Yeah. Okay, so then we'll do this slightly differently. I will move in to the gallery for my first action. I will, for my second action, pay 2 and play the art student. Now that I'm in Seeker. So that costs 2. And I will grab the clue off the gallery. Puts me at 6 clues. Yeah, 6 clues. Oh, maybe only 5. Hold on, I gotta do a little math here. I got 3 off of Sebastian. I got 3 off of Jordan. I got 2 each, so I should have a total of 10 clues between all my investigators. Mark's got 5, Lola should only have 5. I grabbed that replacement one out of the bin. Okay. So we're at 5 and 5. Okay, and then for my third action, I'm gonna move down into the living room. This is the last location I haven't revealed. The living room says 3 shroud, 0 clues. After you perform a parlay action in the living room, draw 1 card. Group limit once per phase. How many fireplaces does this place have? All right. I'm gonna put that there. And I'm moving into the living room just to avoid that end of the round gallery shenanigans. And that is it for Lola. Mark. I'm gonna draw a little bit. What I'd like to do is get a little bit of healing going. And I'd prefer not to, although I am at the witching hour. So that does make the feasting in the dining room a little less dangerous. A lot less dangerous, actually. Let's do it. I'm just gonna go ahead and heal up a bit here. So Mark's gonna feast. That is not no limit at all. I'm just gonna chow down on this stuff. Lola's running around interviewing people, doing what we're all here for, and Mark found the party snack tray. He's like, hey, we've tried these canapes, they're really good. Oh, really good. It's a little slimy, but that's tasty. Okay, and then we're gonna draw a token out of the bag. And that token's a -3. Okay, so I get the heal the horror off of that. Action number 2, I'm gonna go ahead and grab another snack. Maybe we'll grab a little tentacle cocktail, a little shrimp cocktail, but it's actually made of tentacles because that's the kind of party this is. And we take out of the bag a skull. Okay, so I did get a bad bite there. So I take that horror back. Oh, but I heal the horror first, and then I take the horror back. So I'm still at 1 horror, but I also put a doom on the dining room, which is no big deal because we were gonna flip anyway. And then for my third action, I'm gonna go ahead and play the Venturer to get a little soak going for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. He comes into play with 3 supplies on him. And I'm gonna go ahead and use one right now and put another bullet on the 45. Actually, these are double-sided. Let's not be silly here. I can spend the supply, flip it over, and it's an ammo. Thanks a lot, Deserted Desert, for your cool poker chips. And that is the end of the investigation phase. Enemy phase, nothing happens right now. Soon it will. And then we are gonna reset. Mark resets and draws a warning shot. Okay, that could actually be pretty handy. And takes a resource, putting him at 7. And Lola resets, draws a card, which is improvisation. Okay. That would let me get the enchanted blade out for free. It's nice. And I'll take a resource, putting me at 9. All right. Mythos Phase. That's going to be 3 Doom of 3 on Agenda 2A. When this agenda would advance by reaching its Doom threshold, instead remove all Doom in play. Actually, it was 4 of 3. And randomly resolve one of the Sickening Reality cards underneath the scenario reference card. Okay, so one of the things that Return to the Last King did was add 3 more Sickening Reality cards. So, please hold while I shut my bird up. Be right back. Sorry about that. I have a parrotlet, and it is kind of like playing a scenario with whippoorwills in the background sometimes. It starts to add some madness. Gave him a little food. I think he'll be okay. We'll see. So we're going to grab a Sickening Reality card. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these. I'm going to roll an 8-sided die, and let's see which one we get. Number 2. Oh, that is one of the new ones. Sounds fun. Sickening Reality. If there are no party guests in play, place this card back underneath the scenario reference card and randomly choose a new Sickening Reality card to resolve. Otherwise, read the following. A chorus of laughter erupts nearby as one of the guests dances to the bizarre music. You head over to discover what is so funny. So this is kind of interesting because Lola is literally at the location with the party guest who is at the location with the woman that's singing. So how about that for thematic win? But you find that it is no laughing matter at all. The guest's dance partner lies sprawled on the floor, limp and bloodied, a gaping, gory hole in their chest. The guest turns to you with a disturbing look in their eye and a wicked grin spreading on their lips. Choose a party guest in play. Each investigator at that party guest location takes a damage. Okay, well, let's see. That's going to be Lola taking a damage. I'll take it. I don't know what that represents. Maybe I bumped my head. Place a Doom on the current agenda. Oh, that's garbage. Flip this card to its enemy side and switch it with the chosen version of party guest, removing that version from the game. Who knew the party guests would flip? I did not know this. So let's see what's on the other side. I haven't seen this yet. Brand new look. Oh, that's big. All right, Crazed Guest. Yikes. Okay, this is a 3-fight, 4 evade, 5 health enemy. It is a hunter. For an action, you can parlay. Test intellect 4. If you succeed, you manage to get through to them for just a moment. Automatically evade the Crazed Guest. If you fail, your words fall on deaf ears. Woof. Okay, the party guest gets replaced by the Crazed Guest, who is now engaged with Lola. Wowzers. That's an interesting twist. So I love it, by the way. Love it. The cool thing about that is that it doesn't actually flip any of your clue people. It doesn't flip any of the people you're trying to investigate, the bystanders. So that you have the possibility of not losing somebody when the agenda flips. That's very interesting. Of course, the downside is that you get these very dangerous crazed party dress ladies in the white headband. Wow. Okay. So let's see. That was the agenda flipping, and now we're going to draw a couple encounter cards. Woof. So Mark draws Dance of the Yellow King. If there are no lunatic enemies in play, no, there are. Dance of the Yellow King gains Surge. All right, well, the Crazed Guest is a lunatic, as one would expect. Otherwise, test Willpower 3. If you fail, the nearest lunatic enemies readies, moves one location at a time until it reaches your location, engages you, and makes an immediate attack. Well, that's not bad at all, honestly. It gets him out of Lola's face. Yeah, I suppose that's what would happen. Okay, so I'm going to test willpower 3. And I would like to fail this, quite honestly. So I'm definitely not going to boost it. So 3 to 3. Let's see if I fail it. Chaos Bag says cultist. Okay, well, failing it in a terrible way is not what I wanted. So the last king, fail cultist. If you fail, place one of your clues on your location. Grumble. All right, so a clue gets dropped there on the dining room. All right, well, I guess. Okay, and then that means that the crazed guest is actually headed for Mark. She's kind of taken a shine to him. So let me read that again. It moves one location at a time until it reaches your location. So it's going to go across the courtyard. It engages you, so it engages Mark, and it makes an immediate attack. All right, and it attacks just for one single damage. I'll put that on the Venturer, and I'll draw a card. A shortcut. Nice. Drew a card off of Mark's ability, by the way. All right, well, that was Mark's encounter phase, and Lola's card is going to be... Oh, this is new also. Fragile Thoughts. Oh, I never showed you that crazed guest, or did I? Just in case I didn't. There she is. Let you take a look at that. Am I holding that upside down? I think I am. Apologize for all the other cards I've held upside down. All right. Fragile Thoughts. Revelation. Discard events from your hand with a total printed resource cost of at least X, where X is the shroud value of your location. So I have to discard, my shroud value is 3 here. Discard 3 events from my hand. What do I have? I have 2 events in my hand, both of which I kind of wanted, but that's that. Can't stop it. So improvisation and look what I found are both discarded. It's yuck, but that's not that terrible. And I'll hold that up so you can read it. Check it out. I'm only doing that because the Arkham DB isn't updated with this set yet. All right, that's the Mythos phase. Okay, interesting. This is, I'm going to read Warning Shot. I might just play that here. As an additional cost to pay Warning Shot, spend an ammo from a firearm. Move all non-elite enemies to a connecting location. Does not provoke attacks of opportunity. Okay. So I could fire this and allow and that would scoot the crazed guest one location away. Let me get away for just a second. It's not terrible. I've got some ammo. It's going to take me 3 bullets to kill this thing. Yeah, I think that's probably what I'll do. But let's go first with Lola because that's going to be of priority. I want to go up and, I can't get Ishimaru anymore, can I? Because of that card emptying out my hand. That means Mark's going to need to go get Ishimaru. So I'm okay with that. But I don't want to end my turn on that gallery location because I would have to drop a clue again. Ugh, frustrating. And if I head across the courtyard, I run the risk of drawing another monster. I think I'm gonna want to move Diana Divine back up to Ishimaru because I don't know that I'm ever gonna get her last clue. Yeah, okay. I got my plan. Action number 1 with Mark, I'm gonna go ahead and play Warning Shot. Cost me 2 resources. Putting me at 5. Spend an ammo from my 45 automatic. Move all non-elite enemies at your location to a connecting location. I'm gonna move the crazed guest down into the ballroom. She is Hunter, but at least I can buy myself that one little bit of time. Stay back. I will use Venturer to go ahead and put ammo back on the automatic. Okay, then I will move into the courtyard. After I enter the courtyard, I discard the top card of the encounter deck. It is not an enemy. It was another marked by the sign. Good God. Escaped that. Okay, and that was the second action to move down in there. Let's go ahead and try and decide what I want to do for my spare action here. I can't parlay here because of Diana Divine. So I'll save the shortcut. I'm just going to move down into the dining room, or the living room, as my third action. So Lola and I are both in the living room. And that's that. So maybe next round we can clear Ashley Clark. Sure. Okay. And then that will be that'll be it for Mark. Lola, who finds herself in Seeker right now. I'm going to go ahead and perform a parlay here. I'll spend my first 2 actions to parlay with Ashley Clark and grab one of her clues. Okay, so that puts us as a team at 10 clues right now. That costs 2 actions to parlay with Ashley Clark, and I will go ahead and draw a card. Get a Holy Rosary. All right, that's nice. And then for my third action, see, I'm in Seeker right now. I don't have to worry about the crisis of identities anymore. So what do I want to do for my third action here? I think I'm going to go ahead and play an Enchanted Blade. So let me go ahead and switch my roll over to Mystic and play an Enchanted Blade for 3. All right. That comes into play with 3 charges. And that was my third action. So that is it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, the crazed guest is going to hunt. I will go ahead and hunt down into the foyer. I could either go to the courtyard or the foyer. I'll take the foyer, since I'm not going to be resigning next turn. Okay. And then that will take care of the enemy phase. And then we go to upkeep. Mark resets and draws a True Grit. Oh, that's great. That'll let me start bumping some tests. Yeah, that's real good. And I'll take her resource, putting me at 6. And Lola will reset, draw a card. Another Enchanted Blade. Won't need that, I doubt it. But take a resource also, putting her at 7. Okay. Doom 2 of 3 on the agenda. And our encounter cards are, let's see, Mark. Tough Crowd. Put Tough Crowd into play next to the agenda deck. Each investigator must spend an additional action to parlay this round. Wow. So Ashley's going to take all 3 of our actions to parlay. At the end of the round, discard Tough Crowd. Okay. Well, if I get a second one of those, I know I'm not doing Ashley. And then we'll go ahead and draw a second card. This is Lola's card. Delusory Evils. This is the Ancient Evils that isn't an Ancient Evils. I will not put a doom on the agenda because I want to try to avoid Ashley flipping. So I will go ahead and put this in my hand. And then if I succeed by 3 or more, I fail. But Ashley doesn't take any tests to get those clues. So I've made it through the Mythos phase, and now we're into the investigation phase. Honestly, I think I'm just going to go ahead and spend, both of them are going to spend all 3 actions to parlay and grab the 2 clues off of Ashley. I think that's my most efficient thing to do. And then I can take the crazed guest with Lola. She's got some health to spare. Yep, that's the plan. So Lola will go first. She'll spend 3 actions to parlay with Ashley Clark. Take a clue off of her, putting us at 7. And I will go ahead and draw a card. Look what I found. That will help my parlay with the crazed guest. So I got a second look what I found. And then Mark will spend his 3 actions to also parlay with Ashley Clark and grab one of her clues, putting him at 5 clues. All right, and then that interviews Ashley. So let's read the back of Ashley Clark. Ashley's song is beautiful and haunting, and you find yourself mesmerized by its melody. You don't know why the lyrics call to you, but for some reason you cannot get them out of your head. Above the city the storm clouds rage, and waves crash through the gilded cage. The skies open the path above to lost Carcosa. Below the earth the salt water seeps, the shadows fall as the red sun sleeps. The ocean opens the path below to dim Carcosa. I considered singing it, but I thought I'd rather keep people on the channel as subscribers and not have everybody slamming that unsubscribe button. Honestly, the cadence of that sounds a little bit like the Misty Mountains dim from the Hobbit. Above the city. I'm not going to do that. So anyway, remember that you interviewed Ashley. Okay, I have interviewed Ashley. And that is the end of the investigation phase. So at the start of the... I now have 6 cards back in my hand. So I'm going to leave Diana at Constance's location. Hope for the best. And then enemy phase, we are going to hunt with the crazed guest, and she's going to hunt over to Lola. And she will hit Lola for a damage, which I will just take on Lola. At least she doesn't hit that hard. That's at least a nice thing. And then we're done. Let's reset. Mark will reset and draw emergency aid. Okay, now we're getting a little bit of healing going. And I'll take a resource, putting me at 7. By the way, we are not long for this scenario. We need to get the F out of here. And then Lola will reset and draw another Holy Rosary. Okay. Puts her at 7 cards. Yep. And I'll take a resource. All right, the third doom goes on to the Terrifying Truth, and Tough Crowd goes away. The third doom goes on the Terrifying Truth, and we're gonna go ahead and hit another one of these Sickening Reality cards. 7 of them in the deck now. I'll roll an 8-sider and ignore 8. A 1, okay. Sickening Reality. Ah, it's Ishimaru, okay. A nearby guest asks Haruko if she designed the dress she is wearing, and she nods and poses for him. As if part of her effort to appear taller, her spine grows and extends upward, separating her torso from the bottom half of her body. Instead of crying out in pain, she smiles at the attention she receives. Ooh. Each investigator at Ishimaru's location takes one horror. Well, I picked the wrong person. So that's that. Am I going to be ever able to get rid of Diane Devine? Nope, I've done my last interview. All right. Move each clue from Ishimaru Haruko to her location. Okay, well, that does put that clue accessible to me. Flip this card to its enemy side and switch it with the bystander version. All right, so Ishimaru, bystander, is out. And we now have the bad Ishimaru. All right. She is a hunter. She is 6 fight, 4 shroud, and 3 evade. Sorry, 4 shroud. 6 fight, 4 health, and 3 evade. And she says, forced. After you deal damage to Ishimaru Haruko by an effect other than an attack, draw the top card of the encounter deck. Doesn't this dress look gorgeous on me? All right, and then she's going to go there. Of course, she's also a hunter, so she's after us as well. And her location, she deals a damage and a horror, and her location has a clue on it now. So that clue is accessible to me, as is the one up by Jordan Perry. But if I bail here pretty soon, so here's the thing. Diane Devine can only move to, at the beginning, I can only move her to a bystander asset with the fewest clues on it, as long as they have a clue, and there aren't any more of those. It's always going to be Constance. So I'm not going to be able to get that clue off of Constance. Ever. Because I'm not going to be able to use that forced effect on Diane Devine. And because she's not an enemy, I can't kill her anymore. So that's not an option. So the only clues that are going to be available to me to get are the one that is up in the dining room and the one that is up in the gallery. So I'm thinking I need to just grab the 2 clues in the foyer and get out of here, because I think those are going to be too risky to try to get. And it's only 1 VP to get those 2 clues. And then I have to get both of them in order to get that VP. Yeah, that's definitely the right play. So let's go ahead and draw encounter cards. Mark's encounter card is another party guest. Okay, find the bystander asset with the most clues on it and put it into that asset's location. Well, let's see, that is going to be Old Constance Domain. Okay, cannot parlay with her. Doesn't matter, I couldn't parlay with her anyway. Well, I could parlay with her, I just couldn't take her clues. That's Mark's card, and then Lola's card is, ooh, the new one, Shocking Display. Oh my. Oh, interesting. Randomly resolve one of the sickening reality cards underneath the scenario reference card cannot be canceled. Oh, that's pretty cool. So, victory 0, so that goes into the victory display. And we have to deal with a sickening reality. Okay, a 6-sided die will let us do that. That's number 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh boy, this is one of the new ones. I have a feeling our party guest is going to convert again. If there are no party guests in play, place this card back underneath the scenario reference card. There is, suddenly. And it's the same text. Choose a party guest in play. Each investigator there takes a damage. We don't have anybody there. Place a doom on the current agenda, so we escalate the speed. And this switches to the flips to the other side. And is this an identical crazed guest? Yes, it is. Yes, identical crazed guest. So let's go ahead and flip this. And I've got a second crazed guest after me. Yeah, nice job, Fantasy Flight. That's really cool. That's a neat twist to this scenario. I like it. It also means that you're going to be less likely to kill the baddies in the house. Yeah. Okay. And was that the last of the... Yeah, that's the end of the mythos phase. Okay, investigation phase. So now I got to decide what to do. I want to get the 2 clues in the foyer, for sure. And I want to get out of here. That's all I want to do. So I think the right thing to do is to try to parlay this crazed guest with Lola. Yeah, that is definitely the right thing to do. So I'm going to... What's my chances here? It's funny, I want to make them good but not too good because I do have that Delusory Evils in my hand. Okay, so I'm going to start with Lola. And rather than trying to get away from this crazed guest, I've got a little bit of soak. I'm just going to try to get out of here right now. So I'm going to move to the foyer. I will take an attack of opportunity on Lola. I'll just take it. She only hits for 1. I'm going to investigate the foyer for the second action. I will take a second attack of opportunity to do that. I'm going to switch my role into Survivor. That second attack of opportunity I will take on the art student. No, I'll take it on the fine clothes. I don't need that anymore. Good job, fine clothes. And I'm going to investigate at 3 to 2 on the foyer. And that is going to be... Oh, interesting. I got an elder sign, of all things. I was trying to fail. Let's see, the elder sign is going to put me at 5 to 2, which means I fail it automatically because of the Delusory Evils. So the Delusory Evils goes away. And now I did not have that happen the way I wanted it to happen. So what do? I will go ahead and attempt to investigate again. And I will take the attack of opportunity on the art student. And I'm going to investigate at 3 to 2. And let's see what I draw. I get a, one of those jams? Tablet, -4 if you fail, take a horror. So I am going to fail. That's going to take my skill down to 0 to 2. So I can go ahead and play Look What I Found. Okay, I'm going to take the horror on myself. I'm going to play Look What I Found. Fast, play after you fail a skill test by 2 or less while investigating and discover 2 clues. So that costs me 2 resources and gets me... Pardon the abrupt stop right there. I had some video problems. I had to end up restarting. So the last thing that happened is I had failed or actually succeeded at, and then auto-failed the clue gathering at the foyer. So there are still 2 clues there because what happened, my video kept recording, but it wasn't recording on my phone. So the third action that I did, which I'll just go ahead and replay for you here, is that I investigated again in the foyer, took an attack of opportunity from the crazed guest, which I took on the art student, and then I pulled from the bag a tablet token, which is a -4. So that allowed me to then spend 2 resources to play Look What I Found, because I failed by 2, 0 to 2, and grab the 2 clues from my location, which put me at 11 clues. I believe that's right. I'll double check that. And then I take a horror for the tablet having failed, which I will put on myself. And that was my third action. And let me just double check that if 11 clues is right. So I have grabbed all the clues off of 3 of the investigators. or 3 of the bystanders. So that's 9, plus the 2 at the foyer is 11, plus 2 off of Constance is 13, plus 2 off of Ishimaru is 15. Yeah, 15 of the 18 available. So let's see, I've got 5. I should be at 10. 10 with Lola. Think about that. There are, at the beginning of the scenario, there are 3 on each location and 2 on the foyer. So that's 15. That's 17. So I should have 14 out of 17 is what I should have. So 9 and 5 is 14. Okay, so I have 9 with Lola. Okay. Forgot to undo that part of it. So that's it for Lola. Now, Mark, I would like to take the crazed guest off of Lola, but it doesn't matter too terribly much as long as Mark can suck up the other crazed guest, which he certainly can. So I will go ahead with Mark, and I will play... I will move down into the foyer with Mark. I will play Emergency Aid for 2 and heal 2 damage from Lola. Choose an investigator at your location, heal 2 damage from that investigator. I'll do that for 2 for his second action. And let's see, for my third action, I'm going to resign. I'm leaving. There's no reason to stick around here whatsoever. Lola can handle the business coming at her. And if she can't, well, that's too bad. Because I'm out of here. So Mark is going to leave his 5 clues on the act and resign. I don't want to draw my weakness, because then I'm not going to be able to get the XP that I get from this scenario. So Mark's out of here. And that leaves Lola by herself in the mansion. And we are at the enemy phase. So the crazed guest up here in the courtyard is going to hunt down and engage with Lola. The Ishimaru is going to hunt down into the living room. And the 2 crazed guests are going to attack Lola and hit her for 2 damage, putting her at 3 out of 6. And that is it for the enemy phase. Okay, Lola will upkeep and draw an Unexpected Courage. All right. And then I will take a resource, go to the Mythos phase. 2 Doom out of 3 on the Mythos phase. And Lola's encounter card is a Tough Crowd. Okay, this is no big deal. Until the end of the... I have to spend an additional action to parlay, so that won't matter. I won't be parlaying with anybody this round. And I'm out of here. I'm going to go ahead and spend my first action to resign. So I will resign in the foyer, drop my 9 clues on the act card, and get out of here. That will leave the 2 crazed guests behind in the foyer. Resign does not trigger an attack of opportunity. And that's it for the last king. So honestly, I think that went pretty good. Mark being able to grab some of those clues early was a big deal. And of course, getting the fine clothes out with Lola was a big deal as well. I think I'm pretty happy with how that played out. I ended up with 14 clues on the act deck when I resigned. So I think if that works out, I think that's going to work out to be 7 XP I can divide up over everybody. Those 3 for one of them, 4 for the other one. And I got 3 of the 5 party guests interviewed. I got blocked out of Constance by Diane. There was no way to get that. And then Ishimaru was just sort of a series of bad luck. I got her down to 1 clue. Couldn't get her. So Lola was one card away from being able to get that last clue to interview Ishimaru. But no such luck. But yeah, that's not bad at all. 3 out of 5. I was hoping for 2, so 3 out of 5, and then end up with some 7 XP to split up. I think I'm gonna have to be pretty happy with that. So let's go to the resolution here. If no resolution was reached, let's see, and at least one investigator resigned, go to resolution 1. So that's what we've got. In your campaign log under VIPs interviewed, record the name of each character you interviewed. In your campaign log under VIPs slain, record the name of each lunatic enemy in the victory display. I did not end up slaying any lunatic enemies, I don't believe. No, I did not. Each investigator earns experience equal to victory X value of each card in the victory display, which is none. I had no enemies in the victory display at all. Nope. For every 2 clues that were on the act deck when the game ended, choose an investigator to earn 1 additional experience point. Must be divided as evenly as possible among the investigators. So I will end up giving out 3 and 4. And I'll think about how I want to do that. I'm not sure. And I proceed to Interlude 1, Lunacy's Reward. So I will let you know when I get back to return to the Unspeakable Oath. No, what's next? Return to the Echoes of the Past is next. I'll let you know how I decided to divvy up all that XP. And that's all that happens at the end of this scenario. So nothing else went too crazy. I think I'm going to burn the place down, but I'm not sure. Mark has the ability to kill some guys, and so I might just let that ride and deal with the bad guys as they come in the later scenarios. But oh boy, it's always tempting to burn down the house. I think burning down the house was pretty much the right call in the original Path to Carcosa. But I want to say it ends up with a little bit more pressure on you with horror, and I don't need that with my team. So, and they might have designed around that with the return to Path to Carcosa, made the choices a little bit more interesting. So I'm going to think about it. I doubt I'm going to burn the place down. We'll see what happens as I look through the options in the interlude. But that's going to be it for my recording of Return to the Last King in the second scenario in the Return to Path to Carcosa. I hope you're enjoying the playthroughs. I've been having a great time recording it. And so far, Mark and Lola are not doing too badly. Let's go ahead and head into the next scenario with a little bit of confidence that we at least have pulled together somewhere around 10 XP out of the first 2 scenarios. You've been watching I've Got a Plan. My name is Tim Fiscus, and I appreciate you coming by to watch it. You can reach me anytime at tpfiscus@gmail.com. You can also find my SoundCloud for my audio podcasts, which right now is Jim and Calvin running through the Circle Undone. I'm going to be heading into I think it's the For the Greater Good scenario that I'm going to be heading into with them. And that should be happening probably in the next week or so. You can also find that SoundCloud is Tim Paul, Timpaul, or you can search for I've Got a Plan podcast on SoundCloud. You can also search for me on YouTube, I've Got a Plan podcast, or Facebook, I've Got a Plan podcast. You can find me around the place on the Arkham Horror forums, on Reddit, or on Facebook as Huckman T, or Tim Fiscus, or I've Got a Plan podcast. I look forward to putting out the next episode, which should be coming shortly, and let's have fun.